Hi there. Welcome to a live session with a guest. I have Daryl Duke, the founder of Zen Foundation. Hi, Daryl.
Hi, Martin.
Thanks for taking the time and being with me. I wanted you to show off Zen Foundation real quick, and I was very nasty because I didn't give you a lot of time for preparation. I think like 4 minutes or something.
That's not enough. What can you ask?
And thank you so much for taking the time to show off Zen Foundation. Let's start with, what is Zen Foundation actually?
Yeah, so Zen Foundation is a plugin to Atlassian's Confluence software. And what it does is really two simple things, or two easy to describe things. It makes Confluence pretty to look at, and it makes it very simple to use for non-technical audiences or large numbers of users.
Okay, I just pulled up your website, which is www.zenfoundation.com. Let me pull up the URL for the viewers also. And this looks already pretty. So let's see what you can give us. Actually, I have Daryl's desktop here. So feel as if I wasn't there. I may be interrupting you, Daryl, but I can see you, or the viewers can see you on your screen, so go for it.
Okay, great. So what you're looking at right now, if you can see my screen, is just Confluence and Zen just out of the box and uncustomized. I'd like to start by showing a couple of examples of what we call brands in Zen. Now Zen, as I mentioned, is a plugin to Confluence. And into Zen, we have a layer called a brand that are plugins into Zen. The brands capture the look and feel of a site. It's the logo, your color palette, your graphics. It's everything that makes your company look like your company, your organization, versus Atlassian versus Stepstone versus Zebra Media. So let me show you a couple of examples of that. As Martin said, our Zen website and our Stepstone websites are completely done with just Confluence and Zen. I'm going to go through a handful of examples. The details aren't that important, but what I think is important to see is that there's a lot of visual flexibility in Zen Foundation. So whatever you think that Confluence has to look like really isn't true. It's got quite a bit of flexibility, so I'll just go through these examples.
And this is actually quite different, right? So it looks as if I was kind of in a position where I could wish Confluence to look like World Library of Toxicology, and it can.
Exactly. That's one of the main goals is to allow Confluence to be feeling like a regular Web 2.0 experience. So we talk about a concept called seamless branding, where we can take Confluence and all of its power as a content management tool and turn that into something that is you'd be proud to put a public-facing website, or if not, as your public-facing website per se, something that would fit seamlessly in with your other existing websites. And what that does, of course, is it makes Confluence appropriate for outside use and makes the marketing department really happy. But it really helps folks both inside and outside the organization feel like they're looking at something that belongs to the organization. It's not a technical tool. It really is something that is integrated and works well for the organization.
So one could say that Zen Foundation is something like a content management add-on for the cool enterprise wiki of Confluence?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. I mean, Confluence certainly provides a ton of the content management power. But its market is for technical users, so it's rather plain. It works fantastic. It's got super power, all kinds of power, and it has to be because the development teams who are their primary users are very demanding audience. So it's a great tool. But when you get beyond the development teams to the non-technical audience, or even to large teams that are technical but aren't as frequent users because they're not living in it day to day, those users are really expecting and used to a regular web experience. And so from a usability perspective, having a website to go to is much, much easier than a tool set that you have to use. And then being able to peel open that website and be able to interact with it in simple ways to do really fun things is what is
Show us more.
Okay.
Show us more.
Yeah, so I'll go through a few more. So these two sites, the World Library of Toxicology and this IPMopedia, are kind of interesting. These are 2 out of 6 groups on one Confluence instance, and you can see that there's some visual elements that uniquely, or that tie them together. There, the bands across the top are similar, but each one has a very, very unique identity. So that even within the same Confluence instance, you could have different groups or different divisions collaborating and sharing information, but also keeping their identity intact or separate. So that's one of my kind of a fun use case. This is a fun site. We had a couple that met and got married on a Confluence project, so we built a theme to celebrate that. Kind of a cute story. This is the Atlassian website that you guys may have seen, the developer Atlassian.com, and this has been using Zen for over a year now.
That's cool.
This is right. I'm sorry?
I said this is really cool because it shows that the manufacturer of the software himself seems to think that this plugin that you create is so valuable that they use it themselves.
Right, exactly. And this is actually kind of ironic because this is targeted at technical users, but even still, because it's such a large group of them and folks that aren't necessarily deeply involved in the product set, they want their presentation to make that easier to consume, and also using Zen's simplifying tool set, which we'll look at in a minute, and it makes their life a lot easier in terms of maintaining and managing the content. And you can see that you can do all kinds of fancy things and putting in your own JavaScript libraries and that kind of stuff. So this is the DAC site. This is the Atlassian regular website, which is not using Confluence, not yet at least, working on that. But you can see the idea. Here's another site. This is the Atlassian user group site. We're going to be launching this in a few weeks for real. This is just a demo set right now, but you can see that it seamlessly fits into the Atlassian existing website. So it's what we call about seamless branding. What that's cool is it allows, here's another example of the press box, which I'll come back and talk to you in a second. It really allows companies to use best of breed technologies and mix those existing assets. So it's not an all or nothing proposition to say, oh, you have to use Confluence for everything, or it's going to just, it really is an add-on tool that you can bring the power of Confluence to use alongside other things when it makes the most sense, so you're not constricting.
Okay. One thing that I assume that you still have to do is on top of Zen Foundation, you still have to create something like what we would maybe call a theme, or something like a brand design thing that will understand how, so that Zen will understand how to display that. So I still need a programmer, right?
You don't actually.
Okay.
That'll be the next thing when we pop back into Zen. In fact, let's just go do that now. I've seen enough examples. So this is an out-of-the-box brand in Zen. And again, what we mean by brand, it's a lot what people think about as themes. It might be helpful. I'll step back and talk about elements of a web design. Zen does a really great job, we think, of separating them into the elements that are the hard problems to solve. One of the hard problems to solve when you're putting together a web design is the graphic layer, the logo, the color palettes, the graphics, all the things that make it look and feel like your organization. That's one element, and that's the part we call a brand. Then there's the navigation through the site. How do you structure it? How do you have menus set up? How do you have links and that kind of thing? That's another layer that people spend time on in web design, which is separate from the brand. Also separate from the brand is the page layout. So like in this case here, we're looking at a whole bunch of boxes. We have a 3-column layout. Each column has a bunch of sections. How hard is that to manage? That can be a big problem. So that's the third area. And then finally, the fourth area is the content of the website. Now, of course, Confluence makes the content super easy because it's just wiki pages. So what we're going to be talking about initially is the brand layer, which is that first thing. So out of the box, we have a brand called Chameleon, which you guys all know is the little lizard that can quickly look like its environment. And what we've done is we've built into Zen a brand designer. And the goal of that was to have people that are able to go in and do graphic design work use that to make fantastic designs, but also for people who aren't super or I should say highly trained graphic designers, be able to take Zen out of the box and in 5 minutes have a brand built that complies with your organization's branding guidelines. So everybody's got a marketing booklet that talks about what fonts and logos and that kind of thing need to happen. So let's take a look at how that works. So within Zen, there's a brand designer, and you can open that up off the menu like this. And what it does is it pulls up this wizard that has, as you can see, quite a few panels, and it's got images and icons and gradients and sections that allow you to zero in on all parts of the wiki to style it. But we'll focus at first on the top level page. This is the logo and color palette section. So of course the logo is the heart and soul of any organization's presentation of themselves. A lot of energy is spent on that. So you just upload the logo and you select it in the picker. You can adjust its position a little bit and have some positioning and whether you're going to override that. This is an interesting piece here. The override global logo allows you to have the brand have different logos and override what's in Confluence. You can also change that on space to space and all kinds of other flexibility, but I don't want to go into that right now. The color palette is important. Of course, you get a color picker. Most of the time you're going to just go in here and type in the numbers right out of your marketing guidelines. But what I'll do is I'll do something kind of atrocious today and just pick some random colors in the color palette. Again, this whole approach was set up by graphic designers to be used by graphic designers, so we don't have any programming going on to make this all happen. So
yeah, but what I can do is probably in a professional corporate design style guide, I'll always find these tags for the colors, right? So that's pretty easy,
exactly,
even for a non-designer like me.
Exactly. And so, the color palette's easy. You just type in the values. Let's say that those are what my color palette specifies. That doesn't take very long. And of course, when I click apply, what you're going to see is expect is all of the text and the titles and all that kind of stuff is going to take on the new color. But where things kind of run into a wall usually is that the graphics are now going to be out of sync with the text and that sort of thing. So what we made Zen do is automatically generates all of its gradients and its icons based on that color palette. So you can see when I click apply, the gradient in the background got changed. But what's also perhaps very important is that all the icons you can see up in the toolbar, for instance, which are the controls for Zen and Confluence, those have all been colorized magically for you and instantly. So there's like 70 icons or so in Zen, and that's hours and hours of graphic designer's time. And with the brand designer, it allows you to just jump in and get that rolling, and in a few minutes you now have a brand compliant Zen. And of course, as I change that, I can continue to to make things adjust those. You can also go into the icons if you're not quite happy with the way the color palettes work, and jump in there and change things around. Maybe I wanted to make that more of a gray. And as I'm doing that, you can see I'm changing the colors on the selector, and as that's happening, all of the icons are being magically updated for us, and being able to be previewing that. So if I want to apply that, no big deal. Takes a second.
No Hoover effect anymore.
Right, exactly. So it's like I said, it's really, really easy to adjust the graphics and that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Fonts are another thing. That's probably the final thing. I mean, we like to talk about being able to brand Zen in 5 minutes to make it compliant with your company. I've got just a Google Web Font example here. Let me pop open the brand designer again. And this is a really awful design example, but if we pop into the custom font section, you can see that we support Google fonts and Typekit fonts out of the box. There is ways to package your own fonts, but we have to do that outside of the brand designer. But let's just throw in a font from Google here, this Dynalite. It's a nice font. And because I'm not a graphic designer, you'll see the results of that in a moment. I'm going to add that.
Can I just use that, or do I have to somehow buy a right for that before that?
No, on Google Fonts, those are all open fonts. So there's licensing terms that apply to the different ones, but almost all of them, I think, maybe perhaps all of them, you can just start using. Typekit is another system, and that's a subscription-based thing. It's a few dollars a month, and then you can have a huge library of fonts that you can incorporate in your website.
Cool.
So that's really neat. So I'm going to just take and throw that Dynalite into the font stack for both regular text and all of my titles and things. It's not going to be pretty, I can guarantee you, because it's going to be the wrong sort of font. But the idea is to show you how easy it is to get in there and change the fonts. Now, I've got this.
Yeah, no, this is really different.
Yeah, I don't recommend this font for use, but it is, it's a little hard to read, obviously. But which brings up a good point. Like programming, most of the Confluence users are technical and they're used to doing coding. Our other set of users are graphic designers, and both both sides are really used to being able to experiment with things. Like I'm messing around with this font, and I decide I don't like that. So we put an undo stack into the brand designer as well, so I can hit my Control Z key or use the menu to undo that. And as I do that, Zen is going to back out the set of changes I just made when I click these buttons.
That's better now.
I'm sorry?
That's better now.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty impressed how easy this is to be done. So how long does it take me to understand how to brand design a thing? Is it really like a 5-minute thing, or?
It kind of really is. I mean, what I just showed you in terms of doing the fonts and the graph and the color palette and the logo really is a 5-minute thing. In fact, we have a video on our website that explains.
Show me the documentation on that. So I'm a customer. I just bought a Zen plugin from Cybert Media, and I'm ready to go. Now I want to find out how to do that. Cool. And the third menu item is how to. I click on that, right?
Yeah, how to. And then here's the quick links to everything. We're putting together some instructional videos. That brand compliance in less than 5 minutes video here on the right-hand side. That is a really fast way to look at what's going on. It walks you through that process I just took. Of course, the documentation is more online readable consumption than the video, but that will show you how to do what I just did, and then the rest of these pieces, especially the branding guide, shows how a graphic designer can really delve into it and make a design. Like what you're looking at right now, as I mentioned earlier, is a brand that we built with Zen and Confluence, and those are all done through the brand designer. Occasionally, you might need to add some CSS if you want to your brand, if there's some elements that are outside of that. Out of the reach of Zen, but that's a functionality you have at the bottom here. You can just go down here and add a file, create a file, and throw in your own CSS or JavaScript.
Cool.
And that allows you to reference all the values that are going on in all of these different pieces here. So I won't go too far into that.
Let me ask you one question about this, we didn't talk about this, so please give me an honest answer. Your documentation on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm kind of trying to do all this myself. What is the number you're going to give me? How good is your documentation really?
About a month ago, I would have said, maybe 2 months ago now, I would have said it was probably around 5 or 6. We've actually hired a new technical writer who's going through and redoing all of our documentation to make it better and more organized. So I think we're probably pushing around 8 now, and our goal is to get that up to a point where people are able to just get in there and make it really obvious. So hopefully we'll get some feedback from folks on that.
So basically why I'm asking this is, so you are at a point where you'd say, you can use this documentation and get around fine without ever calling me each morning and asking me another question.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of the people that are building brands now, I guess if there's an indication from our users, we have a service where we offer to do the brand for people who don't have graphic design cycles available, but many of our customers just take it and start tearing into it, and then send us. So usually the support questions we have are really detailed ones that they can't figure out how to do a specific thing, as opposed to I can't get started, or I can't change the way it looks, or that kind of thing.
Okay, and I still can send in support requests and you'll answer, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. support@stepstonetech.com, or it's links off our website. It's really easy to do, and we try to answer that as quickly as possible. Our graphic designer is also on that as well, so half the time it's technical questions, the other half the time it's, let's do some fancy graphic design. Oftentimes just off the top of one of our heads will know what to do, so please do give us a shout. That's also great feedback too, because if you're finding that challenging, or you're asking for something that isn't in Zen, we'd like to find out what people need it to do so we can keep growing the product better and more design flexible. Okay,
so to keep this video short, please give us one more thing that makes you smile about your product or makes your customers smile, and show that as a final highlight.
Okay. Yeah, so we've been focusing on the pretty part, and the other part of Zen that I think is really exciting is the fact that it makes it really simple for non-technical users to use. So there's actually a handful of things that go hand in hand with that. So I'll be real quick to get this over fast for everybody. One thing we have, of course, is regular menus that you can do pull down, slide off, those kinds of things. Those are really easy to set up. Those are just Confluence pages. They're lists of links, so very easy to do. In terms of doing complex page layouts like this is where I think Zen really starts to shine is, ordinarily in Confluence, doing things this complicated, you're either quite constrained in terms of what you can do, or it's just really, it can be tricky to do. So what we wanted to do is to make things really simple. So like if I didn't like a 3-column layout like this, I wanted to make this 2-column layout, I can just drag these sections around.
Look at this.
Them where I want to.
And actually, let me try to highlight this. This is really something that I think stands out in this plugin. If you are thinking of creating your own design and you are creating a website, you will always end up having different columns. And there is no such thing as an alternative to that, but Zen Foundation. And sorry for doing that for you, but I think it's really something that stands out.
Thanks. Yeah, it's one of our favorite things with the product to make this as easy to move the design. We like to think about finger painting when we were kids. What can we do with our hands? If I didn't like the column size, I want to be able to adjust those. We really give full control over that. I can also change the screen size as well. If I wanted to have a narrower aspect or a wider one, I can have control over all of those things. Naturally, this is a super flexible page. Every page doesn't have to be that way. We have a concept called the master page layouts, and what we do is there's a page that you set up that defines the columns, and by default, all pages use that layout. And then you can override that on a page-to-page basis to get the kind of flexibility you have here. 2 more things I'll talk about, and then we can let you go. One is that you may have noticed when I started making changes to this page, this draft watermark came up, and I've got a check mark and a trash can here. What is I'm using the draft mode in Confluence to create something that only I can see. So I'm able to experiment with ideas. I'm able to learn, so I don't have to make mistakes publicly. I'm able to make draft content across many pages, across many spaces if necessary. So I can do changes in a large mass, but no one else is going to see those except for me until I publish those. And I can publish those either with the check mark or the trash can on top individually, or there's a pencil up here in the toolbar. I have 37 drafts. I think this is obviously an environment that I'm using for demonstrations a lot, but you can do things like select them all or just the pages in that space and then publish them in one clot. So you don't have to worry about making staging certain and all those kinds of things. It's kind of a neat trick. And let me discard that changes. And then one last thing I want to show you, I think, is the other side of the simplicity, and that's when not just the design. So we've talked about almost all 4 things now. We've talked about the brand, we've talked about the navigation through the menus and the extra contents in the column. We've talked about page layouts. The final thing is the actual content itself. And as you've known, using Confluence, if you have a page with a lot of complex content on it, it can be challenging for new users or non-technical ones to get in and really be able to mess with content and do that easily. So in addition to allowing you to go into each section and drag and drop it, we put a pencil on each section. So when I go into edit this page, I just edit the component that I care about. Here we go. My niece's birthday is tomorrow.
Yeah, cool.
So you can see that I'm only editing the content in that one section, so I can forget about the rest of the page.
And it's still the new shiny Confluence editor, right?
Exactly. It's exactly that. So what's really about that is you have this super powerful set of Word-like tools, and you're getting to apply it in a very, very simplified environment. So it's really easy and really fun for folks to get in and start playing with it. And again, I'm in the draft mode for that. So that's kind of fun. Just really quickly too, we've got a little menu on the side here. If you're wondering how to create the sections, there's the insert. You can do them before and after. Copy sections, remove them. There's even a designer that allows you to go in. I'll just pop that open really quickly. It allows you to go in and set things like turn on the borders, put background images on there, colors. If I wanted to do something really ghastly like that, I can. I won't save that. I can change the margins and the padding with those section editors. You can imagine are the ones. I'll pop back over here just to show you an example. Like on this one, for instance, all of these little pieces here are sections, and they're all styled using that little section design editor, as is a lot of the more complex content, like on our homepage here, if I can get my mouse fingers working. Let's go back to here. Each one of these pieces are a section too, and you can see you can get fancy styling them and control the borders and the padding and that sort of thing. So you can get some really cool effects. all of that's done without jumping into the code. It's just using.
Hold on. I simply lost your. Now are you back? Can you say something?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, the mic was just out, but only for 2 seconds or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let me try to come up with some nasty question for you. So now we've found out how powerful this is, and surprise, surprise, we are planning a conference on November 8th. And what are we using? We're using Zen Foundation. Why are we using that? Because it's so easy and powerful. And actually, we do have really good designers, and but it's made of poor managers who only have little design experience, and I'm absolutely happy with that because it just serves the lean approach of this conference. And meanwhile, we are pretty successful with the planning of this. However, so awesome product. The only problem I have is it's so expensive. So actually, you're charging the same amount like the Confluence license, correct?
Actually, no, we're not. We
okay, so
the price of Zen in half now, so it's.
Okay, so you're even taking me this one argument. Explain that really quick. So how is could we can just go to the website and find out? It's on the website probably, right?
Yeah, exactly. And basically, we're on the Atlassian marketplace actually. That's the way to buy that. So if you're on the Zen site,
yeah, I think a buy and then here the that changed. Wasn't it the case that you were just as expensive as the Confluence license?
Exactly, we were. So we've lowered that, and part of it is that Zen continues to grow in terms of features for the product. And what we're going to be doing later this year, this isn't exactly corporate secrets, but it's not a public announcement, which is fine. I can talk about that.
I'm going to post this on YouTube, This is going to be a YouTube video. Don't say anything that you want to have public.
I know. So I guess this is public now, but that's okay. We just we haven't finished the detailed planning yet. So, but I can talk. What we're going to be doing is just taking Zen and having the base product be at half price of Confluence, and that's going to be all of the branding, all of the design, all of the kinds of tools that you want to do, and then we're going to have some of the more advanced features put into separate, smaller, lower cost plugins so that users have the ability to really pick and choose functionality based on whether or not they need it. And then we also have a handful of other plugins that play with Zen and without Zen that are going to be part of the family coming down the pipe. So
let me get my argument out. Although it's already obsoleted, it probably wouldn't be worthwhile paying 24 grand for Confluence and then paying another 24 grand for having it easy and beautiful. At the same time, this is not the case anymore, so I'm going to take this back.
That's a good point too, because one of the common problems that Confluence users have is it does an amazing job in the technical environment. The teams love it; they're super productive using it. It works great with Jira and all the rest of the things that we love it for. But getting it outside of the tech team and spreading it throughout the whole organization, when you buy a license of that size, you really want the whole organization to use it. And it's really tough from a user adoption perspective to get that traction across the whole organization because it is really less branded and less simplified. And so we think that, in terms of additional investment, Zen makes a ton of sense because it allows you to get so much more out of Confluence by getting your whole organization to use it. Plus, it's now appropriate to be used outside with external customers or partners or even for public-facing websites. So, in terms of getting a bang for your dollar or euro, putting Zen into the mix really, I think, pays off handsomely.
Okay, cool. Let me try to come up with another nasty argument. Maybe you'll be able to. And this is not prepared, right? I really thought
I would love talking to you, Martin, because you're always come out with things.
No. Actually, I was really thinking I would hit you hard with the price argument. So give me another punch. So my second try would be. It isn't wise for me as a customer to set on a on a plugin, while it would be better to have Atlassian. So Atlassian does offer theming already, so I could just have a theme and then have my custom branding. If I have a layer between that, like Zen Foundation, and I still have to do some theming on top, and a lot of customers will need professional help on that. So if this companies goes out of business, or if this company is unable to innovate as fast as Atlassian is doing, I may be not able to be upgrading. Like some of those people watching may know this TaskDoc example, where a lot of our customers, they Task and Confluence, Task are cool, we'll buy this license. And then they just sold, or they delved into something else and sold to Cisco. And no one was able to upgrade and use this anymore. And I have the same problem with StepStone Technologies. So it's a small company, and now I rely my website and my landing page and my intranet and my developer space all on this thing. And Atlassian goes strong, and this company may not, because whatever, Atlassian becomes better at designing and becoming easy and beautiful, and then I'm stuck.
Right. That's a really great point. And those are real concerns. There's a handful of answers that I have that hopefully will help with that. One of them is that we've been StepStone has been around since 1997, so we've been around a long time. So we hope we're not going anywhere. We've been a partner with Atlassian since 2005, and over the course of those years, we have become exclusively focused on Atlassian products. So really Confluence is our primary focus. So that's all that we do is Zen and the supporting ideas around that and the design. So obviously for us, that's a really important thing. So we're certainly not going to let go of that. Another element that we address is that we really like the Atlassian model. It works really well for them. It works well for their customers. And we think one of the core pieces is the openness of Atlassian. So when you buy a license, not only do you get access to the great software or in the support, but you also have access to the source code. So several of our customers have asked for that. We have the same policy with Zen. If you buy the product, if you're one of our customers, you can take the source code, so minimizing the risk that there's not going to be an ability to deal with that. But even more so than that, because it's still is a big challenge to get to the idea, oh, well, I'm suddenly going to maintain this software, and I may not have resources for that. What we've done is, because we've been focusing really clearly on Zen and the stuff that's really close to that, the services close to that, if you go to our website and click on the services link, I'll go do that now, you'll see, of course, a brand thing, but if you click on the Experts tab, you can see that we've been developing relationships with companies like Zebra Media all across the world. So we've got a list of, there's I think a little over 30 of the Atlassian experts, many of them platinum experts, that are working with Zen, and the idea there is both for making sure that you have a local and perhaps somebody you're already working with help in your area, and choice of providers, but also that helps to insulate against something happening to us or your investment. So there's always going to be people out there in the Atlassian community to take up the mantle and keep running with the Zen support and that kind of thing.
Okay, so for me, this is an answer, and thank you very much. Are you profitable as a company? Is that a valid question for a public video?
It's actually, regardless of whether that's valid, it's a legitimate question. And yes, we are profitable. Like I said, we've been around since 1997, and things are very strong. Zen sales continue to increase every month. Atlassian's been using the product more and more, and like I said, we're launching new products this year that'll play nicely with Zen, and also without requiring Zen, they'll just be nice additions to Confluence. So we are looking really positive toward our future.
Cool. Actually, I have no more questions. That was awesome. Thanks for taking the time, Daryl. And I hope that a lot of our clients and other Confluence users will find out if Zen is a good solution for them.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, thank you for your time. And obviously, if anybody has questions, please shoot us a note. I'm happy to do these kinds of demos and showing you how the system can work. We have a lot of fun doing that, and it's always great to get feedback from people firsthand. So don't hesitate to bother us.
Yeah. And by the way, as you may know, Cybit Media is a partner of Zen Foundation and of Confluence or Atlassian. And you can ask us also if you want. If you want to go to the Zen website, go to zenfoundation.com, which is displayed on the screen right now. And Daryl is very quick in answering, so shoot him an email or tweet him or whatever you want to do. I'm sure he's going to be back with good answers. Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks so much, Martin. Have a great day.
Bye.